If you feel the desperate need to explain yourself, you've already lost the frame. In that frantic moment of justification, you are handing over your power. You are admitting that their opinion of you is more real than your own reality. In the next 13 minutes, I'm going to show you why silence isn't just a choice, it's an architecture. In our previous transmission, we forged the silent inquisitor. You learned to use the Socratic trap and the pressure of the pause to hold the frame. You learned that he who speaks least commands most. But dominance is a game of two. It still depends on an opponent to react. It still requires a stage.
Today, we move beyond the game, into sovereignty. Dominance is about winning the argument. Sovereignty is about being so detached and so intentional that the argument itself ceases to exist. Most people are bleeding energy through 1,000 small leaks, trying to be understood, trying to be right. Today, we plug those leaks. We are installing a psychological airlock between your vision and the noise of the world. By the end of this, you will no longer seek to be understood. You will seek to be undeniable. You will be the force that cannot be explained away.
Niccolò Machiavelli understood a cold mechanic of human nature. The world doesn't reward your intentions. It rewards your accuracy. It doesn't matter how good you think you are if your perception of the people around you is flawed. You must see the machine for what it is. I'll be honest, I fell into this trap myself. I once over-explained a project to someone who had no intention of seeing it succeed. I thought logic would win. I was wrong. My explanation didn't clarify my vision. It only gave them more surface area to attack.
The moment you explain yourself, you hand over the blueprints of your mind. You show exactly where your value center is. You provide the tools to be manipulated. You are telling them exactly which button to press. While others explain their moves, the sovereign simply makes them. Power is a one-way street. The more you are understood, the more you are controlled. To be transparent is to be vulnerable. To be a mystery is to be untouchable. The world wants to put you in a box of their own making. Sovereignty is the act of never letting them see the edges of who you are.
Sometimes silence makes you look weak. If you are accused of a failure and you stay silent, you look guilty. You look like you are hiding. The secret is the symmetry of speech, knowing exactly when the spoken word is a weapon and when silence is a shield. You explain to collaborators to build bridges. You remain absent for competitors to build walls. One is for growth. The other is for survival. If someone isn't helping you build the statue, they don't deserve to know how the clay is mixed. Your energy is too expensive for an audience of enemies. Let's stop the poetic talk and look at the ugly truth. You explain yourself because you are afraid. You are terrified that if someone thinks poorly of you, your world will crumble. This is what Robert Greene calls the slave mind. You are giving people who don't even matter the power to audit your existence. Every time you say, "No, listen, what I meant was," you are begging for a stay of execution. You are acting like a defendant in the court of an idiot. A sovereign doesn't recognize the court's jurisdiction. If they judge you, let them drown in their own wrongness. Your survival does not depend on their approval. Stop simulating arguments with ghosts. Control is not about fighting the noise. It is about turning off the receiver. It is the absolute refusal to process data that doesn't serve your expansion. This brings us to Arthur Schopenhauer's iron wall of subjectivity. He warned us, every man takes the limits of his own field of vision for the limits of the world. You are trying to describe the sun to a blind man. He cannot see it, and he will resent you for claiming it exists. Scenario number 1, the workplace saboteur. When a colleague attacks your character, they aren't looking for truth. They are looking for a reaction. If you give them data, you lose. If you give them silence, you win. You are the hero of your own story. Accept the role of the villain in theirs. In his 48 Laws, Robert Greene is clear. Always say less than necessary. Information is the blood of the social animal. When you speak, you are bleeding. You are showing them exactly where your triggers are. You are giving them a map of your soul. Look at the most powerful men in history. They were enigmas. You couldn't map them. You couldn't predict them. But you are an open book with cheap ink. You tell everyone your plans, your hurt, and your dreams. You are handing them a loaded gun and pointing it at your own head. This isn't just philosophy, it's biology. When you argue with a fool, your brain undergoes neural synchronization. To understand their stupidity, your neurons have to fire in the same chaotic pattern as theirs. You are literally polluting your neurocircuitry. Scenario number 2, the family sabotage. Your parents or siblings want you to be realistic. They call it love. The sovereign calls it containment. The reactive move is to shout and prove them wrong. The sovereign move is the patrician smile. You nod, and you win from a distance. Time is the only currency the universe doesn't print more of. Most people live in the instant response trap. Someone texts, you reply. Someone insults, you react. You are a reactive machine. The sovereign uses the tactical void. You stretch the gap between their action and your response. Silence is the only tool that makes your enemy defeat themselves without you lifting a finger. While they scream into the abyss, expecting friction, they find only emptiness. They find the tactical void, a space where their ego suffocates in the absolute lack of feedback. Remember the biology. Neural synchronization. Scenario 1. The workplace saboteur. They attack your character because they cannot attack your data. If you defend, you are already contaminated. If you provide facts, you have validated their right to audit you. You must see the machine for what it is. It's not personal, it's predatory. The predicated response is always a reaction. In this scenario, the sovereign move is the immediate purge of the transaction from your consciousness. Information is the blood of the social animal. Robert Greene said, "Always say less than necessary." When you speak, you are bleeding. You are showing them exactly where your triggers are. You are giving them a map of your soul. Look at the most powerful men in history. They were enigmas. You couldn't map them. You couldn't predict them. They had no feedback loop. But you are an open book with cheap ink. You tell everyone your plans, your hurt, and your dreams. You are handing them a loaded gun and pointing it at your own head. Silence is powerful because it makes your behavior impossible to model. Your enemies cannot map your triggers. They cannot predict how you will respond because you offer zero friction. You become a psychological closed system. Everything goes in, but nothing comes out. When they cannot read you, they cannot manage you. By offering total apathy, you disrupt the predictable rhythm of their predation. This makes you terrifying, because if they can't predict your reaction, they can't control your future. Machiavelli lived in exile, but he wasn't alone. He had his inner court, the ghosts of great men, and a few trusted allies. The masses think absence means being a hermit. No, it means being exclusive. You are a closed system to the 99%, but you are an open source to the 1% who help you build. When you stop bleeding energy to fools, you suddenly have the reserves to build empires with kings. Cut the cord. Stop being a public park where everyone can walk, and start being a private sanctuary where only the elite are invited. A sovereign doesn't negotiate access. Machiavelli's ritual was sacred. Every evening,
After dealing with the mud and mediocrity of his day, he returned home, shed his muddy clothes, and put on regal garments to study. You need an airlock, a ritual that purges the world from your system.
Practice the purge. When you walk away from a reactive interaction, drop it at the door. Do not carry the ghost of a fool into your study. Do not let their mediocre opinions occupy a single neuronal pathway in your mind. The sovereign mind is an impenetrable fortress, and you hold the only key. Sovereignty is expensive. It will cost you friends. It will cost you the comfort of being understood by mediocrity. You will become the villain in their small stories. Friedrich Nietzsche, the philosopher of the mask, understood this. He wrote, "The price of fruitfulness is to be rich in internal opposition." The masses live in the hallucination of justice, waiting for an apology they will never receive, waiting for fairness in a world that operates on friction and engineering. You are an engineer of power. You don't need an apology because you never let their insult touch your core. From this moment on, your words are a premium currency. Stop throwing them at pigs. Stop explaining your vision to people who haven't helped you build the statue. Every conversation that doesn't serve your expansion is a contamination. Reaffirm the contract. Look at the people around you and ask, are they helping you build, or are they begging for a reaction? If this transmission shook the foundation of your comfort, subscribe. Our next dissection will go even deeper into the terrifying science of unshakable presence. If they cannot map you, they cannot manage you. By offering total apathy, you disrupt the predictable rhythm of their predation. You become a psychological black hole. Their insult goes in, but nothing comes out. No anger, no wit, no defense. When you stop bleeding energy to fools, you suddenly have the reserves to build empires with kings. Cut the cord. Stop being a public park where everyone can walk, and start being a private sanctuary where only the elite are invited. A sovereign doesn't negotiate access. Every evening, you return home from the mud and mediocrity of your day. Shed your muddy clothes. Leave their mediocre opinions at the door. You need an airlock, a ritual that purges the world from your system. The road to the top 1% is paved with the absolute silence of those who stopped explaining themselves. The masses will continue to shout. They will continue to living in the hallucination of justice. But you are the observer. You possess the blueprints. Our next dissection is the science of presence. Join the ranks of the unshakable. The noise is fading. Your authority is absolute. Stay intentional. Stay unmappable. Stay sovereign.